Hello friends, I'm Colonel Failure and you're back with Bulldozer Power in Motorsport Manager. Last week we did particularly well with Vanessa Silvera ending up a magnificent 4th place in Munich with Nicholas Hazel in 14th. Some pretty good driving from both of them, to be honest. But frankly, where I was most happy was in my own employ of tactics. To high levels of effect, and hopefully we'll be able to continue that on in the next race. So here we are, we can confirm that result now. Cozzo Masilella finishing in first for Firebird with 20 points gained, which does Masilella pretty good. I mean, it bumps him up into 9th place overall, but I know that Firebird car has had its share of problems over the course of the season, so whether it can push any further or not, who knows? Finger Puppet finished second for Garuda with Megahertz in third, and then Silvera, as mentioned, in 4th place. Hans 00, the championship leader by quite some way, could only manage 6th overall, and that has eroded his lead a little, allowing both Finger Puppet and Megahertz to catch up somewhat. I think 00 is still going to run away with it, but there's still some of the season left to go. So we have 17 days before our next race, which takes us to Guildford in the glorious United Kingdom. And we've never done particularly well there in the past, and hopefully we can turn that around this year. But let's go check in on the mailbox. The car condition update here is, once again, Hazel is great at maintaining his car. So stripping out some more weight might be viable there as he nurses that car. Vanessa, pretty much typical, so we'll just have to wait for them to finish it up. JTV Sport, Carlotta Marquez would like a quick interview, and I'm in the mood. After his win today, we were wondering if you had any thoughts on Cozzo Masilella. Thinking of working with him in the future? I'd love to have Masilella at the team. He's an interesting driver. No, I'm happy with our 2 current drivers. Or can't hold a candle to Vanessa Silvera. I might go with this one, despite the fact they've both got max morale anyway. Vanessa had -4 because she hates the car that she's been in recently. But I don't see any sense in mixing it up. Pit crew review. Let's have a look. 4 pit stops, fastest with 11.8. That's 1.3 seconds slower than our season record, but that's because our best mechanic is currently out of commission. We had 1 pit mistake. It happens. Mason Madana with his bandana made a bit of a mistake there. And finally, we've got Hank Littman for World Sports Network with everything that I just talked about. That is largely redundant. Let's go head over to the pit crew, see what we're looking at here. So Mandana is absolutely knackered. He is well and truly tired beyond belief, and at the current time I really don't have anyone to replace him with. I could put in Mr. Longjohns here, but he's our star as far as mechanics are concerned, but he's not exactly fully rested. And then there's Wakefield, who is laughably poor. Is probably the best way to describe it. He's not hot on the refueling. No, he is relatively hot on the refueling, but he's terrible when it comes to tyre changes. So I'm going to swap him in because I don't have a lot of choice in the matter. Hit the swap button and we'll swap him here like that. I don't want to hire any more crew. I'm trying to keep my wage bill manageable until we get round to sponsorship time again, and then we'll have a think about it. I could put Becerra in. That's let's not rule that out. Becerra could go in, but and then we could put Parsons over on refueling. But again, Becerra is only on 42. And has made 2 mistakes this season already, so we'll leave that as is, and see if that kind of fixes itself up at all. Maybe. So Gary reports back that the car's now been fixed up. Let's go take a look at the car and see what we're currently working on. So we're trying to get the new gearbox. We're trying to get that reliability up as high as possible, and this gearbox could make a heck of a difference. It will be at 100% by 3 days before the race. Okay, and then we've got our secondary gearbox, which will be topped up in terms of its performance just before the race as well. No, just after. I could tweak this around. In fact, if we did one more thing that way, like that, there you go. See, they're both ready. But what do we need here? Top speed is all important. Medium speed corners is all important. Okay, so that's going to be suspension and an engine that we need to work on. Now, I think our engines are pretty much there. 1 point off and 4 points off. That's perfectly fine. And then, what was the other suspension? Let's have a look here. Topped out and getting there. We could grab a little bit more performance out of our suspension here. But to be honest, I think I'll leave it as is. I'll leave them going, and we'll roll with getting the gearbox sorted out for this one. Obviously, I may change my mind in that way that I occasionally do. So the Big Dogs Championship, the World Motorsport, has run its race, the 9th round in Milan, and it's P. Shute who comes out on top ahead of Carl Johnson and Mostly Sane. Now, given the way that the point scoring works in the WMC, you know, that's not going to do a lot to the top of the table, where Fishburne, the current leader, only managed to pick up 3 points, while Johnson, with his 8 there, has closed the gap a little to only 7. No, only 13. Do your maths. It makes a difference. So it's going to come down to the 2 Scuderia drivers to settle this championship, as much as there's 7 races to go. And if Fishburne is off the boil entirely, anything could happen. But I would put money on Fishburne securing it if Johnson can't step it up some. Shute's back in 6th, and he's got absolutely no chance of winning it on 27 points at the moment. But could this be a sign that Windsor Racing is going to make a move? We just don't know. Meanwhile, in the Asia Pacific Super Cup, it's H&R who takes top place, continuing the battle with Hawk, who, well, is not in the top 10. Where did Hawk finish up? Hawk finished up in a laughable 14th place. That's less desirable there. Frida Fisher in 2nd and Craig Smith in 3rd. Means that Chinar is now 14 points adrift in 2nd place. But this is a far closer contest than the WMC has turned out to be, with Chinar also getting the pole position bonus and gaining 2 extra points, closing down there on Hawk. But one good race from Hawk will see him, certainly her, I think. Is Hawk's female, I believe. We'll probably click a button and find out. Or not, as the case may be. There we go. We can look at these ones. There you go. Yeah. Exciting stuff. And there it is. And so that, yeah, again, this one looks like it's going to be wrapped up by the Rosetto Corsa team, although Esprit GP are closing in on that title. So it's all go in my mailbox. I've got 8 pieces of mail waiting for me, and Sophia's there first, talking about Craig Smith, who is... he's very consistent, good on the feedback. His focus isn't all that, but his smoothness, overtaking fitness, he's a heck of a driver. For McNeil, fortunately, he's not in my division. If he were, that wouldn't be ideal. He's also a hedonist, which is jolly nice for him. But that's not all. I believe that where are we? Sophia had Cristiano de Oester, even. And there you go. There's another one. The other McNeil driver, not quite as good as Smith, but is a Rio de Janeiro expert, and that's nice. So it's always nice to have some expertise. And then she's back again with Cora Allo. Hello, Cora. Yeah, it was obvious, but I said it anyway. Again, not the best driver in the world. She's the backup, the reserve driver for Magyar Engineering, who I've never heard of. She's a GT driver. What do we care? Right. Anyway, so back to the. Do we want to do scouting first? Let's do scouting first. Why the heck not? Here we go. We'll have 3 slots ready to go. Hold on. And here we go. Daisy Parker, right? And then Danny Hamilton and David Fetez. Or Fetz. Or Feets. Could be pronounced in any of those ways. Take your pick. Right. Kurt has been talking about our target of 9th, and we are currently in 5th. And therefore, Kurt is a happy man. If Kurt were perhaps to dip into his bank account and rustle up a couple of million, everything would be groovy. Anna's talking about Guildford. 25-lap race, 3.5 miles. The lap record is... Okay. There's likely to be some rain during the race, with Sunday showing a 20% chance of rain. Or could go either way. Track's quite abrasive, so we're going to have to watch tyre wear. Well, no change there, is there? Freddie would quite like a brakes research facility, because he's pretty tired at looking at the rest of the championship and seeing that we're one of the few... I can't pronounce anything. And seeing that we're one of the few teams without an HQ facility dedicated to maximising our braking performance. Well, you know why that is. We haven't got any money. I'm sinking it all into all kinds of bits and pieces. So, you know, we'll get there, Fred, but it's not high on my list at the moment. Carlotta Marquez is suggesting the state of play before we head on to Guildford. Predator Racing Group are likely to struggle for pace, according to ex-driver Fabio Torino, who claimed that their performance level will be well down on the usual. Predator are rubbish, everyone knows this. Double Zero's lead over Price at the top of the championship stands at 17 points, and the Vexala Motorsport man is hoping to cut down that gap. He told the gallery, "I'm coming for Double Zero, it's only a matter of time." If you say so. Bulldozer Power, managed by me, are predicted to finish around 8th. That'd be okay, which would be seen as a solid result for the United Kingdom-based team's chairman, Kurt Kruger. Anything other than late will probably raise the blood the blood pressure of the chairman, an anonymous mechanic told us. And here he is now with his blood pressure up. He's extremely concerned about the state of the team's finances. Still a long way to go and the coffers aren't looking healthy. You need to make the money last. Hope it won't impact your performance. You know what would impact my performance though, Kurt, is if you gave me some more money. Got it, Kurt. You the man. Yeah, Kurt. Yeah, anything you say there, boss. Just keep the cash coming. So our reliability work has now been finished, as has no doubt the performance at the same time. Let's have a look. So nobody's working on anything anymore, but this has now given us an ultra reliable, high spec gearbox. Tasty. And the other gearbox that we're currently rolling is looking pretty handy when it comes to its overall performance. So we'll stick the good gearbox into performance improvement as well, and then what else do we want to work on? Because now it's all about 100%ing stuff. These brakes are only 265 out of 302. Well, I think we can improve on that as well. 15 days out of the race, all of that will be complete allegedly. We'll work on brakes. Why not? I'm not too proud not to work on my brakes. Fred was giving me some stick a minute ago about the fact that our brakes are lousy, but you know, hey ho. Gary's telling us that the factory staff are idle. In fact, hold on, I need to go back to the factory because we might as well stick Gary on something, even though he's only one man. What do you want to work on, Gaz? How about... Ooh, I don't know. What are the engines looking like? Engines are 78 and 94. Okay, well, let's work on Mr. 78 and see if we can't... improve it somewhat. No, we'll keep all the staff assigned over to Alex. Gary can just tinker with that on his own time. Meanwhile, Sophie Richards is asking, are randomised grids on their way to the European Racing Series? That could be interesting. Drivers would draw lots to discover which position they'll qualify in. Hardly a pure display of racing prowess. So that's the vote that's coming up. That's interesting. Not entirely sure which way I'll go with that one. I'd rather have qualifying, to be honest. Qualifying would be more fun, but we'll see how that goes when the vote comes in. So we're setting up for our trip out to glorious Guildford. and the age-old decision sits before us. We finished 4th in Munich, 6th in the Ardennes, and 15th in Tondela. Do I gamble on 6th for an extra 300 grand? Nope, we're going to gamble on 10th. I would rather take the money that is in hand rather than risk it for an ambrosia-based biscuit. We'll stick with that. Anyway, Vanessa, having had a tremendous time in the last race, is going to be our number one for this race, and we'll adjust the cars accordingly. Right, Hazel, Silvera, yes. Engine, yeah, and there we go. Now, in the comments last time, there was some feedback that it was impossible to complete a race on only one pit stop, and this time around I'm going to try it because I like to buck the impossible and go for possible. So Nick Hazel, given that he's our low prestige, low priority driver, we are going to try and see if he can pull off the race with just one pit stop. It's going to be it's the fuel. The fuel is the problem, but we're going to try it nonetheless, because that's the kind of challenge I can get my teeth into. Anyway, we're good to go here, and we're heading out to Guildford.